I don't know who else experienced this, but there was this one night where my mom had to go to work at night shift, leaving me and my grandmother alone in the house. I was 16 years old at that time. My mom left probably at 8 p.m. after reminding me what to do before going to sleep. I was surfing through the internet that night using my tablet with my wired earphones plugged in my ears. Then, about 30 minutes later after she left, I heard my mother's voice outside the house, and I didn't respond right away because I was waiting for her to tell what she want while calling out my name from the outside. So my earphones was still plugged in my ears. Then, few seconds later, she's still calling out my name, so I stood up from the bed and still did not answer her calls for my name, and looked outside the window looking for the source of the noise, but I saw no one. So lied down in my bed again, plugged in my earphones, and watched YouTube videos. Few minutes later, I heard her voice again calling out my name without giving order or telling me what she exactly want. I pretended to not hear her voice because I was waiting for her to tell me what she wanted and waiting for her tone to change because I was purposely ignoring her call. But even so, I stood up again and looked outside the window from my room, even extending half my body outside the window just to see the person calling my name. But there was still no one. I tried so hard to see some sort of sign that there was a person on the other side of the door, like feet, legs, or clothing, but there was really nothing. So I decided to go downstairs, walking past my sleeping grandmother, who did not seem to hear my mother's call for my name. She was a light sleeper. My grandmother would have called my name as well if she heard my mom calling for me from the outside. I opened the door without thinking that there might be a person that would attack, rob, prank, like doorbell ditch, except we don't have a doorbell, or hurt me and my grandmother at that time. I opened the door and saw absolutely no one, literally nothing but darkness, because it was nighttime and the neighbors next door that were usually at each other's throats and yelling was not there. I think they were on their vacation that time, and their lights was off, as well as the houses next to them. I stepped outside the doorway just to double-check, even though I clearly see no one at the door but myself, and looked around the neighborhood. I noticed that there were no lights turned on near our block, but shrugged it off since there was nobody but myself. So I stepped inside the house and noticed the kitchen part of our house was dark. In order to turn on the kitchen light, I have to press a button on the bulb, but the bulb is inside the kitchen. However, I paid no mind that the kitchen was dark and didn't turn the light on. I just took a mental note and went back to my room, walking past my sleeping grandmother once again, plugged in my earphones, and surfed the internet on my bed. When I got back to my room, the realization hit me that I was not alert of my surroundings. I didn't think that somebody with a weapon could be behind that door and kill me and my grandmother, all because I heard my mother's voice and thought about her. I also noticed that my mother's tone while calling out my name did not change as she kept calling for me from the outside or from wherever she was. She would have been pissed, thinking that I was deliberately ignoring her calls, and she would have yelled louder. I also noticed that the lights at our block was off, although the lights in the next block was on. All throughout that occurrence, I did not say a single word. So I don't really know what that was. All I know was that it was my mother's voice. I didn't think anyone or anything would mimic my mother's exact voice that night. I still don't if it was a mimic or what. I don't know what does the mimic looks like. This is my first time talking about that occurrence. I haven't told anyone about it. Even my mom doesn't know about it. If I told her, she would have scolded me for not being alert and just opening the door just because I heard someone call out my name. After that, nothing similar happened. And whenever someone calls my name, in a crowd or alone, I don't answer or look at their direction right away.
I wait for them to catch my attention by touching me or walking in my vision so I can see who called out for me. Anyone want to share if they have the same or similar experience as me?